we talked earlier in the show about Keelan Smith joining the Huskers recruiting class. Let's welcome in his father, former All-Pro, former Husker All-American great, Neil Smith, joining us from Kansas City on Husker Online Headlines. Neil, first of all, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the exciting news today as your son will be the Cornhusker.
Thank you so much. You might see my hand that it's not intentional by any means, but I'm trying to hold his phone here.
Hey.
But anyway, yes, I appreciate you guys for having me.
How's this? I mean, what goes through your mind on a day like this, Neil, when your son Keelan, commits to your alma mater?
Well, you know how kids are. They like to follow in footsteps. They try to duplicate everything that you do, and so I commend Keelan. He don't really know about my college situation, but he'll so aware of it.
Yeah, Neil, how much have you followed Nebraska? I mean, you played here many years ago. You're still down close by in Kansas City. A lot's changed with this program over the years. How much have you been able to kind of keep track of Nebraska? And I know your son's had a chance to meet Matt Rhule. What do you think of the new direction of this football program up here?
Well, it's always good to have a new beginning. I know we struggled throughout these last, few years that we've had, and the legacy of Nebraska has been whole. We have always been a powerhouse football team. We're trying to get back to that, and I think, Matt, given the situation, he can build it. And I told Keelan there's nothing wrong with going to a new rebuilding. Then you can see it from ground zero. You can be a part of turning the narrative, and that's what we did. Even when I was there, not winning the Big 8 titles, but yet right behind that, it became all, the winning and the continues to winning, and then the championships follow.
Neil Smith joins us. Neil was an All-American defensive lineman at Nebraska in 1987, two-time Super Bowl champ. This was the big one, Neil. You made the NFL All-Decade team for the 90s, which is that's only major league players, obviously. Now, how involved? How did you approach this with your son's recruitment? Did you let it play out with him? Did you recommend anything? How did you approach it?
Well, I really put it in the hands of Keelan. He really wanted it. He wanted to be close around home. Well, his family can get to him, and his brothers and sisters. And I just say, Keelan, whatever you decide, I'm not mad at it. I'm just, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for the whole situation where you can, people can still come and see you, and he just, that's where he wanted to go. He said, I'm all in. This is where I want to be at. I'm happy about it. I'm excited about it. And I said, well, it's a lot of work still to be done. Keelan have to get through his, his senior year of school. He have to, and I told him, I said, you could be the first one, of your generation to finish college. And I want him to finish. I want him to finish school. I want him to get his degree. He's, if he can put in on the football field, he can definitely do it in the classwork. So it's a lot. It's just the beginning. It's totally the beginning of everything.
Neil, at this age, how much does Keelan remind you of yourself in the sense that his body and his development, he's just at the start of that? And tell your story when you got to Nebraska, just how big you were, what you weighed, and then kind of what you ended up finishing your football career at in the NFL.
Well, Keelan is a long, skinny kid like I was. He was a basketball kid, which is good. It helped his agilities and everything. Kind of like the same body frame in a sense, Of course, I think I was a lot faster than Keelan will ever will be. But he won't say that, but he can run pretty good. You got to put in. I never had the weight program and the diet and the direction to how to build muscle and speed and strength. Until I went to the University of Nebraska, and it changed my life. It changed my whole career, really. And once I know, that your body's your temple, you just take care of it, and then and then when you act from it can give back. So. And Keelan got a long ways to go as far as that. A lot of strength. He's going to get bigger. It's kind of same deal. I don't think he's going to get as big as I was.
What do you envision for Keelan as far as where he'll fit in at Nebraska position wise?
I'm eager for him. He's a great kid, man. He's really, really smart. He can fit in anywhere. I think he can. The good thing about Keelan is he can adjust to anything, and that's one of the big key deals where, he can get in and fit in, and he can, get himself acclimated. He's not a shy kid. He's like to voice his opinion, and he just got to learn when the right thing to say. And I'm sure I've taught him along with his mother those type of situations.
You're down in Kansas City. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about what it's like down there, coming off another Super Bowl. Just what is it like day to day in Kansas City, especially being a former Chiefs great? I'm sure it's pretty fun times with the draft just wrapping up there this past weekend as well.
Yes, can you hear it in my voice? It was a long week. The draft was exciting here in Kansas City. For me, it was a lot of work, a lot of appearances, a lot of activities that I got involved. It was big, man, and I love the fact that they allowed Kansas City to host this. I think we did a really good job, within the community. And I think Kansas City, I reach out and thank Kansas City personally and the chief because we raise a lot of money for our foundation, and these are the things and the situations, the platforms that we need to to reach back and give back to the community. And and I taught the same thing to Keelan. Keelan is very, very active in the community, and he always, been there. He's done the Red Cross. He's helped with my foundation, the Third and Long Foundation. So he's really aware of how to do it and give back to the community. And I wouldn't be surprised that he jumped head in and start that in Nebraska.
Neil, what is your foundation, Third and Long?
The Derek Thomas Neil Smith Third and Long Foundation. If you can Google it, we have a reading program here that the late Derek Thomas started. And when Derek passed, I taken over Derek's dream and his vision. And still today, 23 years later, we're still here pushing his foundation and still raising money and helping kids to learn how to read and to write and to speak, within crowds. And our graduation rate is really good. We've had a lot of kids to come back, be attorneys, be lawyers, be doctors, and to come back and speak to these kids over again. So I'm really, really pleased about where we at as far as, our foundation. And we just love what we do. We host golf tournaments. We do wine, we'll host a lot of different events throughout the year. And anybody that ever want to come to Kansas City, if you ever want to look at it, just go to our website, the Neil Smith, Derek Thomas, Third and Long Foundation, and you can follow us in that.
Neil Smith joins us. Neil, you've come a long way since you were that kid that came in here with combat boots and fatigues, and you weren't that highly recruited, right?
No, sir. I was actually I was a sleeper. I was a sleeper of the whole group. No one know about me, heard about me, but they put me together. They put me there and gave me an opportunity. I was headed to the Marines. Being my grandfather and my father was an ex-Marine and and fought in wars, and it was always on my mind. I want to follow my father's footsteps, so I can see where Keelan's at in his life and see how he feels like what he want to do as far as following us, following me and trying to mimic me, and good luck. And I know he's he can do it. I'm pulling for him, and hopefully they embrace a great kid that likes to get it done.
All right.
What do you think of some of these coaches at Nebraska, though? Matt Rhule and the staff he's brought in? Have you been able to spend like Terrence Knighton, longtime NFL defensive lineman, is the D-line coach here? Have you been able to kind of connect and meet with some of these new coaches on the staff?
Well, I have not. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. I have not met, Coach, even himself, Coach Rhule. I haven't even talked to him. And like I said, Keelan is way ahead of the game. He's way ahead of me. And, I know his whole process and all, but I'm super excited to get there and to meet those guys and, and see, actually what I can still do, but my main objective, make sure Keelan is on the right track and headed in the right direction.
Well, Neil, we really appreciate you taking some time to join us here on Husker Online Headlines. Congratulations.
Thank you
to your son and your family. You got another Husker. We're going to see you up here.
Absolutely.
That Kansas City barbecue up here with us. We'll take it up in the studios.
Always can run it down to you. No problem.
All right. Well, thanks again to Neil.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you guys
for joining us here on Husker Online Headlines. Man.
Wow. Now, Matt Rhule would love to have Neil Smith around. You know how Rhule is. He loves the tradition of this place. I guarantee you Matt Rhule knows a lot about Neil Smith.
Yeah, what I've kind of gathered is he understands big picture, who Neil Smith is, his value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just having him around other families of the program. Mm-hmm. Think about just what a
big Neil walking around.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a damn near NFL Hall of Famer. I mean, I emphasize that NFL All-Decade team because usually that's a Hall of Famer.
He'll get in eventually, like on one of the later, maybe the later. I mean, those first ballots to the, like Mick Tinglehoff had to wait several years before he got in.
Yeah, I don't know, Sean. I don't know about that. You might be right. You might be wrong. I don't know. But this was a 6-time Pro Bowler. I mean, this is led the league in sacks. Now it's exciting. And I think Neil, you heard him, is sort of interesting to say. I hadn't talked to Matt Rhule. Some dads, they stay out of the recruiting process. They let their son make the decision on his own. And I think Neil did that with Keelan. There are similarities here. I mean, Neil was not highly recruited. He was the last guy Nebraska added to the class when he was coming in. He was the last guy, and an offensive lineman. And they told Neil, if this offensive lineman commits, then you're not going to be in it. Offensive lineman.
It's a Jack Pierce recruit, right?
Yeah, it was absolutely, Sean. It was a Jack Pierce recruit. So Neil got in, and then, he wasn't very big, but as he said, he found that weight room and transformed himself. It transformed his life, but really through that weight room, and became a force. I mean, he just became a force.
It's interesting too that he won the rings in Denver, but clearly Kansas City is where his roots are. I got chills seeing those pictures of him and Derek Thomas because that's the football I grew up with.
Oh yeah,
watching Chiefs on Sunday.
Those guys. Yeah, Neil could rush the
Christian Okoye, Joe Montana.
Yep.
Marcus Allen.
Yeah, that was cool. We had to kind of battle to get Neil on.
It was worth the battle
from a technology standpoint, but it was really cool to have him on the day that his son Keelan commits to Nebraska.